5 glowing objects flying in perfect formation over Antarctica, caught by a Russian cosmonaut aboard the ISS. A strange triangular light zips across a 2006 CNN broadcast of a space shuttle, and a snapped 12-mile tether drifting in orbit surrounded by massive glowing disks, with witnesses on Earth seeing strange lights from below. These are the scariest space videos ever leaked. Back in August of 2020, Russian cosmonaut Ivan Vagner was aboard the ISS filming a time-lapse of the Aurora Australis over Antarctica. Beautiful stuff, but then he noticed something else in the footage. This happens very fast, but for a few seconds, these 5 mysterious objects appear flying in formation. Vagner posted the clip online asking, "What do you think those are? Meteors, satellites, or ... He immediately flagged the video to Roscosmos management, and the footage was sent to the Central Research Institute of Machine Building and the Space Research Institute of the Russian Academy of Sciences. Roscosmos publicly acknowledged the video, calling it, quote, interesting and, at the same time, mysterious. The frames in the time-lapse were captured 1 per second, meaning the actual observation time was 52 seconds, not just a brief flash. Roscosmos spokesman Vladimir Ostemenko said it was too early to make conclusions and that experts would determine what the objects were, but as of today, no official explanation has been made public. Now, this next one isn't what you think it is. That cigar-looking object is not the UFO. That's just an external tank that fell from the Atlantis space shuttle. Still, looks pretty cool though, floating through space like that, but this one came from a CNN broadcast of the space shuttle in 2006. Watch the bottom right-hand corner of the screen here. Do you see that? It looks like this glowing triangular object flies across the frame. A YouTuber named John Chaser re-uploaded the clip saying, "This video is not fake. I simply downloaded it off the NASA website and reposted it here. It's still on their server." February 1996, Space Shuttle Columbia was deploying the tethered satellite system, a 12-mile cable designed to generate electricity using Earth's magnetic field. After they deployed over 19 kilometers of tether over 5 hours, the tether snapped and the satellite drifted away. But NASA's cameras kept rolling, and what they captured next became pretty legendary in UFO circles. Frame fills with dozens of these bright, almost disc-shaped objects moving around the shuttle and the broken tether. Some appear to show objects passing behind the tether, and when you consider the size based on the tether's length, these things look enormous, possibly hundreds of meters, even up to a mile in diameter. At the time, astronaut Franklin Chang Diaz explained them as little bits of debris illuminated by the sun. But another curious little thing to note, a witness on the ground in Australia reported seeing 6 bright white objects, 1 very large and 5 smaller ones, darting around as the shuttle passed overhead that night. So if it's just camera tricks and ice particles, what were they seeing from the ground? Back in 2016, people watching the International Space Station's live feed noticed something weird, genuinely weird. Normally the camera just shows this peaceful view of Earth, but during one particular broadcast, this faint light appears way off in the distance. It looks like it's falling toward Earth, kind of like a meteor. Then suddenly, it just stops mid-fall and hovers there for a few seconds. But before anyone can try and make sense of this, the live feed cuts out. So obviously, a lot of people thought that was pretty suspicious. A YouTuber named StreetCap1, who's known for catching odd stuff on space feeds, uploaded the clip and pointed out that the timing was kind of fishy. I mean, sure, it might have been a meteor, but why did the stream cut exactly when the thing stopped? NASA later listed off the usual suspects: space junk, camera reflections, radiation interference, maybe a satellite, but what do you all think of this one? What you're looking at here is probably the clearest footage ever taken of the so-called Black Knight satellite. December 1998, Space Shuttle Endeavour is on mission STS-88, doing routine work on the International Space Station. The astronauts are out installing thermal blankets on equipment when suddenly one gets away. Commander Robert Cabana radios to mission specialist Jerry Ross. "Jerry, one of the thermal covers got away from you." Photos of this mission show the thing floating in orbit, and it looks really nothing like your typical piece of space junk. The thing gets cataloged by NASA, burns up in the atmosphere a few days later, and you'd think that would be the end of the story, except it wasn't. Because when people started seeing footage footage and images from the mission spotted this thing floating in the void of space, some didn't believe it was just space junk, like NASA explained. Some said NASA's story was just a cover-up, that this thing was actually documented proof of an ancient alien satellite that's been watching over Earth for thousands and thousands of years. The conspiracy's been around for decades. Alright, so in 2017, a pretty strange video started making the rounds from the International Space Station's live feed. The footage shows what looks like this long cylindrical object drifting near the station. It kind of fades in, moves closer, and then parts of it just vanish. The person who spotted it thought it wasn't disappearing naturally, but using some sort of cloaking technology. The clip was shared by Scott C. Warren. We've talked about him before on the channel. He runs the blog UFO Sightings Daily. He wrote, "I noticed a UFO in the distance that was coming closer and closer to the space station. The UFO was partially cloaked, which made it look transparent. Deep blackness of space blending into the environment means you will be safer from other alien species that may not be so friendly." Waring also referenced Area 51 whistleblower Bob Lazar, saying Lazar had read government documents about 56 spacefaring species. So for believers, this was one more potential sign that there's traffic up there we're just not being told about. But Nigel Watson, author of the UFO Investigations Manual, said the object was probably something a lot more mundane, either a, quote, distant satellite or a piece of space junk that is relatively close to the camera. He also pointed out that if aliens actually had cloaking devices, it, quote, isn't very reliable if they keep appearing and disappearing. Fair point, but I mean, technology is annoying sometimes, maybe even for aliens. Take a look at this bizarre clip. This footage is from 2014, taken at the International Space Station yet again. It was uploaded by a YouTube channel called Secure Team 10, entitled Giant UFO Approaches International Space Station. So we see this circular object drifting closer and closer to the station before seemingly flying back out into space. According to the uploader, the footage, quote, came directly off the ISS Ustream video page by a regular user of the site who regularly watches the streaming live video for daily anomalies and happenings. The clip has racked up well over 1 million views at this point. Not hard to see why. It is pretty odd. Seems different than the usual camera glare or, space debris people usually chalk stuff like this up to. In 2016, UFO researcher Scott C. Waring was watching NASA's live feed from the International Space Station when something strange showed up. He spotted what he described as a, quote, long cylinder object floating alongside and below the space station. The thing that wasn't darting around or flickering like the usual light anomalies, this one was moving at the exact same speed as the ISS, almost like it was pacing it. Waring said it looked semi-transparent. He kept watching, thinking it might eventually come into focus, but just as it did, the NASA feed suddenly cut to a blue screen. That's what happens when NASA catches a UFO on cam. They cut the feed for a few minutes, he wrote. The video he uploaded was short, only about a minute long, but you can clearly see the object trailing alongside the station before the screen goes dark. November 14th, 2004, about 100 miles southwest of San Diego, Commander David Fravor and Lieutenant Commander Alex Dietrich are on a routine training mission when advanced radar detects multiple objects descending from 80,000 feet to 20,000 in less than a second. Fravor sees this churning white water on the ocean surface, then above it, a smooth white object shaped like a tic-tac, moving at high speed. He estimates it's about 40 feet long, with no markings, no wings, no exhaust plumes. When Fravor tries to intercept it, the object accelerates so quickly it seems to disappear, then gets detected 60 miles away less than a minute later. A second flight goes up, this time with Weapons Systems Officer Chad Underwood, whose jet has an advanced infrared camera. He records what becomes the FLIR video, later gets officially released by the Pentagon. In 2023, Fravor testified under oath before the House Oversight Committee, stating that technology was, quote, well beyond the material science and capabilities that we had at the time, that we have currently, or that we're going to have in the next 10 to 20 years. The Pentagon releases 3 videos total: FLIR, Gimbal, and Go Fast, captured between 2004 and 2015. Verified military-grade documentation, objects performing maneuvers that just don't match any known technology or aircraft. Objects appearing high in the sky, dropping to sea level, accelerating to hypersonic speeds, staying airborne, all day without refueling. Yes, these videos get talked about a lot, including on this channel, but for good reason. If we're talking about some of the best UAP videos ever released, these are it. The Navy confirmed these were genuine, unidentified aerial phenomena. With all that said, I've been your host James, and I'll catch you, yes you specifically, in the next video.